Okay, let's see. Okay, welcome everyone, by the way, to today's webinar. My name is Scott Nabs. I'm the customer service coordinator and training manager for the IndieCommerce program. We're going to be talking about specifically today getting your website ready to launch. And the stores who are generally attending this webinar are stores that have just received their website or have worked on it for a bit and are ready to go live, or believe that they are ready to go live. So we have some information here for stores that are in your position. Some of this may be a little bit redundant, but I'll be honest, even stores that have already gone live have missed some of this information. So we're going to take a look at that. This may be new information to some of you. Now, what we're looking at here is my test site, which is basically the same as the site that you would have received after you signed up. We pick a basic theme that we can put the site in. We put some basic default information in there. We put some links in the menu. We put a couple of book lists on the front here. And then we send it to you with some links to our help center. So what we're going to take a look at today, because a lot of stores, when they get to that point, they're not really sure how to move forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about stores that are actually getting ready to go live and do the training session. Okay, so first of all, rather than show you this site, which you're already familiar with on your end, what I want to do is take you to the best place for resources on all things bookselling, which is bookweb.org, ABA's official website. Again, if there's anything that you need to know about bookselling in general, you can probably find it here. But in specific, what we're looking for, if you go to For Booksellers, you'll see a link here that says IndieCommerce and IndieLite. We're going to click on that. And again, if you haven't been here, I do strongly recommend that you bookmark this page. It is absolutely invaluable. So what we have here, I just want to point out a couple of things. First of all, on the weekends, we don't generally have coverage. That is, that we don't have people actively looking at the system. So the information here tells you that if there is a problem with your website over the weekend, you can check the status page to see if we're having a system-wide issue. And if not, you can actually submit a critical outage report. This is better than trying to call or trying to email on the weekend. Again, if your site is down, if you can't process orders, your customers can't get there, submit a critical outage report, and that will ring a few bells on our side, and we'll have some people jump in and take care of that. Okay, but what I really wanted to show you is at the top of this page in the sidebar, we have a lot of links to some information. Now, the information at the top here under new features and updates, a lot of this was added just since the pandemic shutdown in March and April. At that time, of course, a lot of stores were closing their doors. They wanted to set up curbside pickup, so we have some written information and some video demo on that. How to set up a free shipping method, again, written information and a video demo. A quick checklist of what to do if your store needs to close down for a bit. We have a lot of information about Ingram fulfillment. When a store trains and goes live, we talk about that a little bit more, but it's good reading. It's definitely good information to take a look at. And there again, there's a webinar on that same bit of information. So again, there's a lot of information here that is really, really useful. But what we're going to be taking a look at here is under IndieCommerce, we have the Help Center. And again, I cannot overstate how useful all of this information is. So if you get to the Help Center here, what we're looking at is again, a lot of information. You can see the links down in the sidebar, all of the written documents that we have on just about every subject pertaining to the website. We also have webinars that we've done on any number of topics, from creating custom products to search engine optimization. We have training videos on basic functions, creating content, adding pages and things like that, moving blocks around. So again, if you're not sure of anything, please look here. If you're not sure of what you're finding or what you're looking for, let us know and we can give you help. Okay, so I wanted to show you these resources. We're going to come back here in a little bit. For the moment, what I want to do, if I go back to my site, I just want to show you a couple of things. The first thing, actually, let's go back to IndieCommerce. This is what I wanted to show you. The link at the top of the page here is Getting Started. And again, we try to include this link with the email that goes out to you when you get your site. But again, a lot of stores just don't see it, or they click right past it, or they just don't, whatever it is. So a lot of this information, we've already signed up, we've already sent the contract in. What do you do while you're waiting for your site? So what we're looking at here is I just received my site. What's next? I know some of you are already beyond that. But again, this is an excellent checklist to walk through just to make sure you're covering all of the points. You don't necessarily have to do everything here, but these will remind you of things that you might be forgetting about. So we're going to take a look at this information by way of looking at my test site. We're going to take a look at a few things. So the first thing on the list was check your store's information. When we build a site by default and send it out to you, we fill it with some basic information about the store's location, contact information, hours, and directions if we can find them, and that sort of thing. So what you want to do is check on this basic information, make sure that we've gotten it right. So if you go to Store, Configuration, and Store, you're going to see, again, this basic information that we've put in, the name of the store, the owner's name, the email address. Again, make sure there's no typos, make sure this is the address that you want to use. You might want to use something more generic like info@ or something like that. Phone number here, again, we've pulled most of this information from your ABA membership record. If that information is out of date, you're going to want to take a look here and make sure it's all been updated. But at the bottom of this page is really important. This is what stores always miss. The main contact information for the website and main contact information for online orders. A lot of times it's the same person, but the thing is, if we have to contact the store about an order on behalf of a customer, we often wind up talking to somebody who says, oh, I'm not sure who handles that. Let's make all of this easier. Just put this information in so we can get in touch with somebody if we need to ask questions about orders. There is another place where this can be input, and if we go to Configuration, System, and Site Information, there's much less information here. Again, we just want to make sure there are no typos. This is the site name. There is a slogan if you had something cute to say, so many books, so little time, something like that. You can put a slogan here, but remember, how this information is used depends on your site's theme, and some themes don't use this information at all. So keep that in mind as well. And again, the email address here that goes out when people sign up to create an account, again, you might want this to be a more generic email address like info@. Down at the bottom, we've made some default pages, an access denied and a page not found page. Those have already been uploaded, so you don't really need to worry about those. So again, we just want to make sure that there are no typos, all this information is the way you want it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to take a look at, that wasn't too difficult. The next thing we want to do is take a look at the theme that your site is using. Now, again, when we create a new site for a store, we choose a theme from one of the many that are available here, sometimes based on an existing site that your store has, or just a popular theme because we couldn't find anything that you were already using. So we'll often use something like this, which is Bootstrap Business is the name of this particular theme. So when you get your site like this, we've chosen a theme for you, but it's not written in stone. You can certainly change it. So I want to show you a couple of things about how to change your theme and what to look for. The first thing I want to show you, I'm going to go back to bookweb.org. The first thing I want to show you is if we come to the top of the page of the sidebar in the Help Center, there's a link here that says Sample Themes. This is an excellent page. If you click on it, what it's going to show you is a list of different live sites that are currently running with each of these different themes. So for instance, if I look down here and I see, oh, somebody's using the premium responsive, and I want to take a look at that. I can click on their site and I can see what the premium responsive theme looks like when it's currently in use with the store who's actually using the slideshow and all of that. But if I close that, if I come back here, I can actually click on the next one down, and I can see that while this store is using the same theme, it looks decidedly different. The theme layout will be similar, of course, between all of these different sites, but the content and the colors and the personality of the store is what makes them different. Okay, so let's say we come through here and now we've found a theme that we want to use, and we want to use this on our own site. So here's what we're going to do. Now I've settled on the premium responsive theme. So there's a couple of things I need to do to make that available. I'm going to come back to my site, and I'm going to go to the Appearance tab, and this is all about the theme and how the site looks. I click on appearance, I'm going to come to a page that lists all of the different themes that are currently available. And I have the Bootstrap business theme. That is my default. That is what my customers are currently seeing. But if I scroll down, I can see there's also something here called the responsive Bardic theme. It's available for me to use, but I'm not currently using it. And there's also a theme called 7. This is a theme that you see when you're creating content, processing orders, and things like that on the back. It's a fairly empty theme with no sidebars, so there's nothing to get in your way. But what we have below that is a list of disabled themes. These are all themes that can be available, and you can use them, but none of them are currently active. So they're in alphabetical order. If I go down the page here, I'm looking for my premium responsive, and I'm going to click enable. And that's going to make this theme available for me to use. It's not going to make it my default, of course. My customers are still looking at my Bootstrap business, but I now have another theme that I can play around with, and that's the first step. Now, as I play with a new theme, I don't want my customers to see this. So as I go through this entire process, my customers will still see my default theme. So here's what I'm going to do. There's a tool called Theme Key, and I'm going to set this up so that when I'm logged into my account, I'm going to see my site in a different theme from my customers. And that allows me to work on the theme where my customers can't see it. So here's what I'm going to do. I've enabled the theme. It is now available for me to use. I'm going to go to Configuration, User Interface, Theme Key, Settings, and User Interface again. When you get to this page, there's a link that says Selectable Themes. Now again, the theme that I'm currently using is already selected, but the other themes that are here, I can also select, and they will become part of my Theme Key repertoire. So I'm going to choose Premium Responsive, and I'm going to click Save at the bottom. Now I've set everything up for me to be able to change this, and here's how I do it. So I've enabled the theme that I want to use, and I've told the Theme Key tool to make that theme available. Now here's how I change it. If I simply go to my own account, I click the Hello link, and I click the Edit tab on my account page, I now have an option in my account under Theme Configuration to choose what theme I see when I'm logged in. I can choose don't switch the theme. That means when I'm logged in, I see the same thing that my customer sees. But in this case, when I'm logged in, I want to see a completely different theme because I'm going to be working on that. So I'm going to go down to the bottom after I've chosen Premium Responsive. I'm going to save that at the bottom. And now, when I go back to my front page, I'm going to see my new theme. And there we have it. So this theme actually comes with a built-in slideshow. You could add images to it. It has a main menu up on the top. I can add my logo to the corner piece here. It has block locations that are different from the first theme that we were just looking at. Keep in mind, each theme is set up a little bit differently. Each one has a different configuration. So if you move from one theme to another, you're almost certainly going to wind up having to move your blocks around so they look more appropriate. For instance, if I go back to my account, you can see my Indie Next list titles here. Oops. My Indie Next list and my bestsellers, those are all the Indie Next lists are in the sidebar here. But if I go back to my my previous, you can see that they're actually here. On the other theme, those are all listed in the footer all the way at the bottom down here. So again, as I move from one theme to another, that theme, Drupal is going to take my existing blocks and it's going to push them around into the new theme, and I'm certainly going to have to go in and move those blocks around again. Okay, now as far as blocks, I want to show you this as well. If you go to Structure and Blocks and just click that, we're going to go to a page that's going to show us all of the different block locations where we could place a block. For instance, there's a place called Preheader First, Preheader Second, Preheader Third, and in each one of those, you can see there's no block in that region. But I do have a header, and I have a block there. I have a content section, and I have blocks there, but I have sidebars. I have a Browse Books, and I have a second sidebar with a search form and a shopping cart. And if you look at my front page, you can see I have my search bar and my shopping cart in the sidebar here. So, and if we go back to blocks, I want to show you very quickly. At the top of the blocks page, there's a link that says demonstrate block regions. And this will show you the different places where a block can be placed. Sidebars on either side, the header all the way up at the top right in the middle, and things like that. And again, the footer down at the footer sections at the bottom where I put those different lists, and then a footer section all the way at the bottom. Okay, so you can move blocks around. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The next thing I want to talk about here, now that we've looked at choosing a theme and switching over to a different theme, let's go back. I'll go back to Premium Responsive and click Save. Now, again, as I said, every time I'm logged into my website, I'm going to see this new theme, which is different from what my customers will see. So now I can go into my structure and blocks, and I can go into my Premium Responsive and arrange the blocks for my Premium Responsive site. My Bootstrap business block arrangement is still here. It's a different arrangement. It's a different theme. Okay, now let's go back to the front page here. If we go to Appearance and Settings, and in this case, Premium Responsive, you can see there are settings for each of these themes. Some of these themes have a lot of settings that you can play around with, a lot of different color options and things like that. Some of them are very limited. For instance, the Bootstrap business has very few color options. There's really just this top bar, the links, and the footer all the way at the bottom. But every theme has options for you to toggle on and off, the logo, the site name, things like that. If there's a built-in slideshow, there's usually a toggle where you can turn the slideshow itself on and off and things like that. We're not going to get into all of the different details here for this. But there is a lot of it. We do, again, have a lot of information on themes. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Okay, so let's go back to the front page here. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, we've verified our site information. We've picked a theme, and we've seen how to set that theme up so you can work on it while your customers still see your original theme. So now we want to take a look at building some content and moving some things around. So first of all, I want to address this. At the top of your site, and I'm pretty sure everyone here has already seen this, and some of you are still seeing it on your site right now. There's a line here that says, no front page content has been created yet. And that seems kind of weird because there is content, right? There's stuff right here that I can click on, book covers, I can go visit these pages, I can drop these items in my cart. That seems like content, but it's not really. These are blocks, which are not the same as building a page or an event or something like that. So here's the thing, Drupal expects that you will build a page specifically to be your front page, and they expect that you're going to push that page to your front, which would make this message disappear. And I'll show you how that's done. This is really simple. So I have some content, by the way, that I've written, and I highly recommend this. I can't tell you how many times a store has put information into their site, into a page, and before saving it, they time out and they lose all of their information. I always write in a separate notepad file and then copy everything over. So here's what I'm going to do. I have this little bit of information. I'm going to create a page at the top of my site. It's going to take the place of this little message here. So the way I do that is I go to Content, Add Content, and Page. So now I can create a page with a title and a body. I'm going to drop my information in here. And I'm going to put this as the title of my page. Thanks for visiting. And I'm going to leave this information right here. I'm just going to go straight to the bottom, and I'm going to go to my publishing options. When I create a piece of content, it is automatically published, but I'm going to also promote this to the front page, and that is what is required here. So I'm going to click Save, and now I can see the page that I've just created, but if I go to my front page, you can see that that page has now been pushed into the front and now takes the place of that no front page content has been created. So here's the thing. Drupal expects that you're going to create a page and force it to the front to be your home page, but you don't have to. Stores sometimes don't like to have that. They just want to put a bunch of blocks up there, and they don't want that little message that says no front page content. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete the page that we just created. And if I go back to the front page, you can see we're right back where we started. No front page has been created. So you need to create some piece of content, promote it to the front, and it will remove that. But if you don't want to have to create a page and push it to the front, there is a module called empty front page, and it will basically remove this message without you having to put anything in there. Keep in mind, it will prevent you from promoting content to the front of the site. So keep in mind that is available. If you're wondering why that message is there, you can get it to go away by creating a page and promoting it, or we can activate a module that will remove it without you having to put content there. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at is going to be the, let's see. Oh, I know. I want to create another page. I want to show you a couple of things. I created one really quickly and I just deleted it. So let's take a closer look at that whole process. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to click content. If I just click the word content, what I'm going to find is a place where all of my existing content currently resides. These are all pages that we would have created on your behalf: returns policy, access denied, page not found, and the front page book lists. All of that is done by default. But what I'm going to do is create a new page with some new information. It isn't really relevant to our discussion, the page that I'm creating, but the mechanics are. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to content, add content, and page. So I have some information written. Again, I don't ever do this without writing my information ahead of time. So I'm going to call this increasing your conversion rate. And I'm going to take a bunch of information that I have here. Okay. A bunch of information, and I'm just going to drop it right in here. I'm just going to paste it, and I'm going to go right to the bottom, and I'm going to save it, and that's it. It's just published. And as soon as I save it, I'll be able to see the page itself. So here's the information I just dropped in there. This is an enormous page of information. It only took me a couple of seconds to do. Now, in the middle of my page, I left the word image because I wanted to remind myself I want to drop an image in there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to edit. I'm going to go down to that content where it says image, and I'm going to put my cursor right where I want that image to appear. Now I'm going to use, in the WYSIWYG buttons, I'm going to use the image button. It looks like a little photograph of a mountain. And if I click on it, it starts a process by which I'm going to add an image to this page. First, it asks me for the URL. I don't know the URL. Who knows that? So I'm going to browse the server and look for that image. First, the system opens up a directory into my own website, and it shows me all of the images that I've already uploaded. I only have one image that I've already uploaded here, so I need to find another one. So I'm going to go up to upload, and I'm going to say choose file. This opens a directory into my own hard drive, and this is where I have the image I'm looking for. So I call it conversion. I'm going to click open, and I'm going to click upload. And you can see that now puts this new image into my file browser, but that's not the end of it. I want to insert the file right where my cursor was. So I'm going to click insert file, and that starts to pull us back. Now we get to the original window that it opened up, shows my image. It shows this information, height and width. This is going to seem a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to remove both of those, because if I leave those numbers in there, that image will always be that size. But if I take those numbers out, it allows the image to resize as the site resizes, and I'll show you what that means. So I have my image. I'm going to click OK. I now have my image stuck into my my text here, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. Oops, and click Save. So now I have all of the data that I put in here, and now I have an image. But here's what I wanted to show you, because I left those dimensions out of the image size. If I move this so I shrink the page, that picture gets smaller as it needs to, and it will also expand as it needs to. If I pull it back, pull it back out. Okay. So again, I just want to show you here, uploading an image is fairly simple to do as long as you have that image on your hard drive. And then when you do upload it, we recommend pulling the dimensions out of the image before you save it, and that will allow the image to resize easily. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do here with this content, I want to create a link, because if I go back to my home page, you'll notice, and I don't know where that page is anymore. What did I call it? There's no link to it. How do I find it again? Now I can, if I just go to content, I'll see it as the most recent piece of content that I created. But I want to create a link so that my customers can see this. When I'm creating a link within my site, I don't need the entire address here at the top. I just need the information after .com/, and that is increasing your conversion rate. So I'm going to take that piece of information, and now I'm going to do this. If I go to Structure, Menus, Main Menu, and Add Link, I'm going to call this conversion rate, and the path, again, is the information that I just copied. Everything after .com/ is called the relative path. So I'm going to, now I just need my title and my path, and I'm going to click Save at the bottom here. And when we get back to the front page, you can see that I now have a link to this page in my menu. If I click on it, I go right to the page. So that's all fairly simple. Again, stores are often wondering, how do I get this done? The question I get a lot is, I've just created a page. Where the heck did it go? Don't forget, everything that you create will wind up, all of your content will wind up under content. And when you get here, you can then filter for your events that you've created, products that you've created, pages that you've created, and you can separate them out that way. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay, so let's go back to the front here. Okay, another thing I want to show you now, I've created, and again, we try to do this by default. We try to create a page for hours and directions just as a standard thing on every site. And if we can find your information, we're going to put it there. So often what happens is we can get a little bit of information, but we might not get the whole thing. That doesn't usually come up, but here's what you can do. I just want to show you this. I'm going to embed a map onto this page. And you can do the same thing. You could do it with a video. You could embed a video. And the procedure I'm going to show you is pretty much the same. First of all, if you're not familiar, if you go to google.com/maps, you can put in whatever address you need, and you'll find a map for that area. So this is Cascade, Iowa, where my store is located. And if I come down close enough, you can see right here, my store is located right on the corner of Tyler. And I'm going to, oops, so shrink that down. Now, when I have the map that I want, what I can do is click Share, Embed, and I can copy this information right here. But as it turns out, I've already copied this information, and I have it right here. Again, in my little notepad file, I cannot overstate the helpfulness of this. So I'm going to copy this information that I had copied earlier. Now I'm going to show you how to use this. And again, you can get the same sort of information from YouTube and all of that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to my site, to my hours and directions page. I'm going to click Edit. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my cursor where I want this map to appear. And because I have a bunch of raw HTML, I need to use this little tool, which is called Embed Media. And if I do that, it's going to open a special box just for my my HTML code. So I'm going to drop in the code that I copied, and I'm going to click OK. And here you can see it creates a box just under my actual information. And I'm going to save this. I'm going to go right to the bottom and click Save. Now you can see on the page itself, there's an actual live map. I can pinch, I can zoom, I can move it around, I can move over to satellite and all of that. What the embed media does is it allows me to then also change this information without changing the HTML code that I've already put in. And that's always been an issue. If I change some of the information, the HTML code changes a little bit with it, and then eventually it starts to break. Using the embed media keeps your HTML completely separate from the rest of the page. Okay, so now if I go back to my front page, if I were to click hours and directions, I now have a map on my page. Okay, so again, I just wanted to mention all of that and show it here. Again, this will be recorded, so if you need to come back and look at it, pause it, take notes and all of that. I just want to make sure all the information is here. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about content, we're going to go back to the front page. I want to explain a little bit about the front page book lists. So we create 3 front page book lists for each site. You don't have to use them, but we have found that having a simple array of clickable book jackets on the front does help customers follow through. They click on things, they drop them into their cart. If they don't see that, if they're having trouble finding something to purchase, they may walk away and not purchase anything. So we thought this is a really good idea, just creating these simple book lists. So each book list is governed by a view. The view is called front page book list, and there are 3 separate ones here. There's front page book list 1, 2, and 3. So each view that we're looking at here, the front page book list 1, consists of a page with a list of books on it and a block that shows that list of book jackets. Okay, so if we go to content, we can see front page book list 1, 2, and 3. If I go into front page book list 1, you can see it's just a page with those books listed on it that are listed on the front. Easy. If I want to change the books that are listed on the front, I just need to edit this page. And I can come down here to the book list. Let's say I want to add another item. Well, if I want to remove an item, I'm going to highlight the number, the ISBN. I'm going to delete it out of the field, and I'm going to click outside of the field. And there it goes. The little Ajax runs, and that tool comes out. That book comes out. Keep in mind, the remove button, unfortunately, does not work the same way. So you want to remove your ISBN from the field, and then click outside of the field. I can add an item, of course, if I want to do that. And all I need to do is put in an ISBN and click outside of the field. And again, the system will find that information and drop it back in. Okay. So you can change the books that are listed for each book list on the front by coming to the page itself and changing the ISBNs that are listed here. But if let's go back to the front. But if I want to change the name of the list, that's governed by the block. So again, if I want to change the books that are listed, I'm going to go to the page and change the books that are listed there by ISBN. But if I want to change the name of the list, I'm going to go to configure the block, and I'm going to change it here. So in this case, it would be new this week, and I would save that like so. Now on the front page, it just says new this week instead of saying front page book list, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now you'll also notice here that this particular theme does not like 6 covers all the way across. Some themes do, some themes don't. This one takes 4 across and then pops the other 2 down. I don't really like the way that looks. So what I'm going to do is remove 2 books off of each of my lists here, and that's going to make them sit a little bit better. So I'm going to again go back to content, and again to front page book list 1, and I'm going to remove, go edit. So, okay. And then I'm going to remove, let's remove 2 of these. Remove that one. And I'm going to remove this one at the bottom. I just don't like the colors of those. They're kind of blah. Okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back to the front page. And now my new this week only has 4 covers, which sits comfortably right in that space. Now, keep in mind, I can add more titles to my front page book lists, but they won't appear on the front page. Only the first 6 will appear. We can modify that if you really want to, but it often clutters the page if you allow more and more titles to appear. Okay, now that is pretty much the extent of what I wanted to talk about with content, creating content, how to get information in there, the basic questions that we often get from new stores. Okay, the last thing that I really want to talk about here is what happens when a store is ready to go live. What do you do? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. When a site is getting ready to go live, there are a couple of things that they need to do. First of all, there is going to be a training session, so we need to arrange for that. You'll need to let us know that you're ready to go live, and we'll set up the training session. Those are generally held on Monday afternoons, 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll make those available to you. But when a store is getting ready to go live, there are a few things that they need to do. So once you've done all of this, you're happy with your theme, you're happy with your content, your blocks, and your menus and all of that, it's time to start thinking about getting live. So when a store contacts us and says, listen, I'm ready to go live, one of the first things we tell them is that you're going to need to set up an authorized.net account. Authorized.net is a payment gateway used basically in front of your credit card processor. So the way this process generally starts is you contact your existing credit card processor and let them know you want to set up an authorized.net account, and you're going to be using that account on your website, because ultimately your processor and authorized.net will need to set that up and make sure that the account is functioning between them before we can ever even plug it into the website and make it work there. So what is required is that a store needs to set up that authorized.net account. And then just before you go live, there's some information that you need to input into the site itself. I'm going to show you where that is. So you would need to log into your authorized.net account, and you would need to find the following information. We're going to go to preferences. Okay, so we're going to store, configuration, account information and preferences, and then finally store authorized.net information. So if I click on this, there's just 3 simple fields here. And this, all 3 pieces of information will need to come from your authorized.net account. There is a login ID, there is a transaction key, and there is a public client key. All 3 pieces of information need to be dropped in there. You're going to click Save Setting, and that's going to put the information where our team can act on it, because we need to actually go into the site and move everything over and set up your authorized.net interface. This is not what does that. This simply puts those credentials where we can actually act on them. So you're going to need to get those credentials from your account, add them here, and then let us know that you've done that and you're ready to go live. We are moving stores over. Before we go live with your store, we'll get you moved over onto authorized.net. When the site actually goes live at the end of the training session, you'll actually be running on your authorized.net account at that point. Okay. Now that was the bulk of the information that I wanted to impart here. So I think, let's see if we have any questions. Does anybody have any questions? You can type into the question panel on your dashboard. Okay.
Scott, I was monitoring that. I don't see any questions there.
Okay.
Or if someone just wants to ask a question, we can just unmute them, because we only.
Right. So again, keep in mind, if no one has any, we're not looking at a lot of questions here. If you want to raise your hand in the dashboard panel, we can unmute you if you want to ask a question. And if all of this information was thoroughly comprehensive and there are no questions, well, I find that hard to believe, but okay. So Ronnie is raising her hand, so let's unmute. Ronnie, I have unmuted you from my side, but I think you need to unmute from your side.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Ronnie, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I have a question. And this is about the domain, or the main address.
Sure.
When we first signed up, we were using fsbooks.com, In the meantime, we have contacted the person that has our full store name. We've gotten the website over to us now, which
Okay.
is spelled out. Do I need to tell you that before I start working in the background, or can we do this just before, sometime in the next few weeks?
Well, if we've already built your site using the original address, you want to let us know. I would send an email and let us know, hey, listen, when I got my original site, it was this address. This is the address we're going to be using.
Okay.
We're going to want to have that information. I'm going to want to pass that on to our systems administrator to make sure everything is going as according to plan. But it shouldn't be a big hurdle. If you have to do, certainly stores have done that before.
Okay, cool.
As far as actually going live and repointing the domain, keep in mind at the end of the training session, I try to do a little homework on each domain and send each store very specific instructions on what to do, who to call, and what to say to them when you call them to get that done. If it really becomes difficult, we can get our systems administrator involved in a conference call. It doesn't usually come to that. All I can say is we haven't lost a bookseller yet.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, not a problem. Okay.
Scott, there are two questions in the Q&A.
Okay. Let's see.
The first one is from Steve.
Okay. Let's see. How do you create a browsable page for M&T Ingram product categories? Geetha, do you have any specific information off the top of your head for that?
Yes, I think we can, actually, if you want to show where they can enable the Ingram M and Ingram T on their website, like
Perfect.
on the test site that you used for,
Okay.
let's enable that first.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go to Store, Configuration, Account Information, and Preferences. And this is under Configure Book Settings, yes?
Yes, configure book settings.
Okay, so we're going to go to Configure Book Settings. There's a lot of information here. These are book availability statuses. If a book is in stock with Ingram, it says usually ships in 1 to 5 days. If it's back ordered, it says back ordered. We can change things like this. Special order can be subject to availability. But if we come down here, we're looking at other things. These are the calendars, maps, blank books. That is Ingram's Department T. And then this is Department M, and those are gift items and sidelines. So we're going to enable both of those and then go submit. Okay, so now these items are available if my customers are searching. Their search can return those items as well.
And Scott, is this site configured for advanced search? Is that enabled?
I don't think so.
Just trying to find, or I think to find where these items are, another way to do it is if you click on Browse Books, and if that if you have the block enabled on the side, gifts, yeah. So here, actually, if you click on gifts, games, the games and activities category, yeah.
Got it. Okay, there you go.
These are getting pulled into the site because the Ingram M and Ingram T are enabled. And let's click on just one of those puzzles because some of them show up as print books. But let's see, like if you take the daily brain game, okay, and if you, this is a puzzle.
This is more like a book.
Not sure if it is actually a puzzle. If you go down to the product details, it will say whether it is an Ingram T or an Ingram M. Or you could click on the Daily Brain Games 2019 day-to-day calendar.
Okay, so you can see down here.
And if you go down,
Ingram T.
That's Ingram.
There's a lot of information. Keep in mind, this information on the product page is what you will see as a store administrator when you're logged in, but your customers don't see this information beyond just this. But you get to see what Ingram's discount is, how many Ingram has on hand, on order, etc. Okay. So yes, once those are enabled.
The same way.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the same way if you find something that is a gift or games, you would see that on the product page, it will say it is Ingram category, yeah. The same way it says T here.
Right, okay. All right, so again, Steve, the idea is that you would enable those items so that they can show up, and then using the browse, which by the way is just browse/book, that will bring up the browse page with an accompanying browse block on the side. Keep in mind, some stores don't like to have this entire browse list here, and what they'll do is they'll pick certain categories and create their own block with very specific links, for instance, for games and activities and things like that. So you don't need to use the entire browse list that's here. You can actually create your own smaller browse list.
And I think that was Steve's follow-up question. Steve asked also, is there any way to modify the books that appear in the main browse book page?
Gotcha.
Again, by default,
by default, browse books will pull up this information by default. But again, if you want your customers to see specific bits of information when they get to this page, you can have a much shorter list of books here. Your browse book can go to a specific page if you wanted to.
And Steve, although it may seem random, but the books that appear here are based on the desirability value that we get from Ingram. Like if you click on each of those titles, you can see there is a number associated with the desirability value, which is, it depends on the demand for those books. And the higher the number, they show up on this first page. I think that's how it's pulled. It may seem, sometimes it just feels it's random.
Yeah,
do we show that here? I'm not sure whether we show that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
The Ingram Desire, you see, it is, yeah, 202,113, and that's the reason it shows up at the top on the first page.
So it's all dynamic information based on sales figures and a bunch of other information. The page is actually dynamic, although you may not see it change all that often.
We have another question from Erin. How do you change the photos on the top on this current theme?
Well, look at the time. No, I'm just kidding. So this theme actually has a built-in slideshow, and you can see it's populated with just some default slides stuck in here. They don't go anywhere. They do have a name on them. If you for this particular theme, if you go to Appearance, Settings, and Premium Responsive, you can see the actual. Let's see, the front page slideshow down here. First of all, I can turn the entire slideshow off if I don't want to deal with it. But what I can do is change the description and URL of each slide. Now, the slides themselves, now different themes have different slideshows, and different slideshows have different requirements for how they're implemented and where you change those slides. Geetha, I'm not recalling off the top of my head, where do we need to create a folder for these slides?
No. Most of the themes, the way we did it, we made it easier. So this is the premium responsive. When you click on slide 1, do you see an option to upload the images there?
Oh, you do. You know what? Because I hadn't seen that earlier. So yes, if you just go over this.
Recently it used to be that stores had to upload the images into a folder, but wanted to make it easy, so we gave them the option to do it right here.
Right. So this is actually new to me. I haven't visited this in a while. So if you come right here, you can choose, just like we uploaded the image before to the page. You can do the same thing, search through your directory, pull up the image, upload it here, and it will appear as your slideshow. And then here you can actually say, you can change the description that appears below it, and you can change the link where it actually goes when you click on it. And again, you have 3 slides in the built-in slideshow at the top. I do recommend, if you're going to do that, make sure if you're creating slideshow images, make sure they're all consistent and they're all the same size, because I don't know about other people, but when the slides are different sizes and they jump around all over the place, it drives me nuts. So again, come up with a standard format, a standard size, and then you can always create those images at the same size. Okay, Erin, I'm hoping that answered your question. Okay, let's see, do we have anything else? I don't see any further questions.
No, there are no questions.
Okay.
Erin says thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. So again, this session has been recorded. So if there's anything you were trying to take notes on, if I talk too fast, as I've been told I do, you can watch this again, you can pause it, you can take notes and all of that. And again, don't forget, you can contact us. Right now, the best way to reach IndieCommerce is staff@bookweb.org. That goes right to our ticketing system. All eyes are focused on our ticketing system at the moment. If you need a call, let us know. We can set up a call for you. At the moment, we're all working from home and nobody really has an office phone, but we can certainly make arrangements to do that. Okay. Geetha, do you have any parting comments, anything you'd like to add?
No, I think the only thing we would like to remind stores that are not live yet is to get the sites ready as soon as possible and schedule a go live session with you. So they're not waiting until very close to the holidays.
Exactly. Because, keep in mind, the sooner you get your site up, the more you'll be prepared when things start to ramp up, which is kind of what we're expecting. I mean, even in this spring was kind of ridiculous, the amount of volume that we saw. You know, with the possibility of another shutdown in flu season and all of that, it's good to be used to all of this and be familiar with the website before all of that stuff starts to hit. So again, if you have questions, let us know. If you're ready to go live, email staff@bookweb.org. Let us know you're ready to go live, and I'll be in touch with you to help you set that up. Okay. All right, I think we're good. I think we're safe to part company. I'll make one last call. Any questions, anything on anyone's mind, on or off topic, in fact. All right.
Oh, just 1 second. We
Sure.
have a few more. What is the best website theme to use? This is from Malik.
I'll be honest with you. That is a question of aesthetics, and what I have told stores for the past 20 years since I've been here is that my sense of aesthetics often clash with what other people find aesthetically pleasing. So it's hard to say. This is really a judgment call. I will say this. If you go to the sample themes, you can see which themes are being used more than others. But to be honest, a lot of these are really just, 3 and 4 stores at a time. We have some custom themes at the bottom. So it's hard to say. Really, the best theme to use is the one that appeals to you the most, that you find easiest to work with, I suppose. It's really difficult to just say, oh, this one is really good. In fact, if I told you which one I like, Geetha would tell you don't listen to Scott.
Yeah, I just took notes to remove responsive batik from the list of themes.
Ouch, okay.
And Malik wants to repeat the contact email and contact phone number. Sorry, we only have an email contact. It is staff@bookweb.org.
Staff@bookweb.org. That is the best way to get in touch with us. And again, as I said, if you really have an urgent issue, if it's during the week, you can write to us and say, and put urgent in the subject line. But really, the best thing to do on the weekends, again, if you can't get in touch with us, if your site is down, if your customers can't get in, look at this page, look at the status page to see if our system is down and whether we know about it, and then you can submit a critical outage report.
And Scott, Malik has another follow-up question about the theme. Can you go to the page where we list all the themes and the features that they offer on bookweb.org?
Okay, so I showed you, let's get down to the help center. What I showed you was this sample themes, which is a list of stores that are currently using themes. But there's another link here for Drupal 7 themes. And what this does is actually gives you, it's sort of it's just a spreadsheet that shows you the different features that each theme has, whether it has drop-down menus built in, what kind of color options it has, and things like that, whether it has a built-in slideshow and whatnot. So this is also a good page. This can sometimes help you narrow down what you're not looking for at the very least, and that'll give you a shorter list of things that you want to, of themes that you actually want to look through. Okay, let's see.
I think that is it. And Ronnie has a comment. Thanks. This has been great for a push to get it done. And that was our goal, Ronnie.
Yes, exactly. That was the whole point. The whole point of this. And again, it is extremely important for us that stores get their sites live, in a timely fashion. So let us know if you're having issues, if you're not sure, if you're stuck. I know it's hard to call in and get us, but we can certainly arrange to call you and spend a deal of time on the phone and make sure your questions are answered that way. Okay. All right. Again, this session has been recorded, so you will be able to review it again. But I think we're okay to part company here. Geeta, any final comments on your end?
No, I think we are good. Thank you. This was a good session.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. And again, if you have any questions, just let us know, staff@bookweb.org. Thanks a lot. Take care.